My family's in Savannah. Yeah, so I get to drive I-16. Fun. All right. Yeah, the agenda, do you?
No.
Can't remember if this was third or fourth.
We're third.
Okay, so I'll what is that all about?
And you got the enough recommendations, correct?
I did. I had got it and then forgot I got it.
Will that be mentioned as part of your, or do I mention that?
Rusty's gonna do it, but we've got re-recommend denial, but if approved, condition it to the site plan, the elevations, and the proffer letter.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah. I don't know how to get rid of all this crap. No. I'll make sure it's up when Rusty's finished. You just have to do the arrows.
It's okay, man.
Yeah.
Let's see. Whoops.
Right arrow.
Ah.
Is Kevin coming?
He is. Easy enough. Thanks, Joe.
Yeah. I'm hoping this thing doesn't drag on until all night.
Yeah, it seems kind of. I guess I don't go to these all the time, but do they typically start at 7?
I don't know. I mean, some people start at 5.
Yeah. Just depends.
Yeah. That's the worst part, is waiting from 5 until now.
Did you guys get here at 5?
We get here at 8 a.m.
Why do I have this up here? Heather, is my mic not working? No, it works. I just don't need this probably.
Oh, they must have had trials because they've got this.
It's working. All right, hello everybody. We're going to call this meeting to order. We have with us tonight Pastor Joel Smith, Smyrna Presbyterian Church, 3130 Atlanta Road. I'd like to invite Pastor up for the invocation and pledge. Everybody please rise.
Join me in prayer. Oh God, you are the great God that is to be praised. We thank you for this day, that you are the creator and maker of all things, the provider, sustainer, and source of all things. It's in you we live and move and have our being. Lord, we come this night humbly to you, praying for our great city, the city of Smyrna, Georgia. We thank you for its years of history, for those that have gone before us, the shoulders upon which we stand. Lord, we pray that our best days would yet still be ahead. Pray for our councilmen and women this night. We ask that you'd give them wisdom, insight, and discernment to lead the people of this great city. Give them leadership. Pray that they would do things willingly and with a servant's heart that only you can give. Lord, we pray this night for our first responders, our city workers, our businesses, our churches, our community centers, and other ministries around this town. Would you be with them, protect them, use them? God, you are good, and would we your people rise up, praise you, and bless your name. And in this Thanksgiving month, would we give you thanks with great gratitude in our hearts to you. Pray all this in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. If you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor, for being here. I appreciate it. Our clerk just told me that as we go through this meeting, if you are wanting to come speak, you'll be sworn in by our city attorney, and then you'll sign the sheet as you come up. I don't think anybody signed it on their way in, so housekeeping thing there. Next is agenda changes. We do have one agenda change, and I'd like to have a motion to suspend the rules to add an agenda item. We have a motion by Mr. Lindley, second by Ms. Hines. All those in favor of suspending the rules to add an agenda item, please vote. Approved unanimously. I need a motion now, and I'll tell you why this is being put on here. We closed the green space, the King Street from Bank to Powder Springs on the weekends a few months back because there's been so much activity in the downtown green space, right? People are down there all the time. Well, we did it through the end of daylight savings time because we thought, well, it's going to be cold and it's going to be dark and nobody's going to be down there. Until it was 73 degrees this weekend, and it was a ton of people down there, and on Friday it wasn't closed. So the motion that I need is to close King Street from Bank to Powder Springs on weekends from Friday afternoon at 3 p.m. to Monday morning at 7 a.m., all weekends going forward. I have a motion and a second to add this to the agenda. All those in favor, please raise your hand. That's added to the agenda, and that will be under formal business item J. Thank you. So now we're moving on to the mayoral report, and I'm going to start with a special recognition. I have a few things I want to go over, but we've got a ton of talented youth here in Smyrna, particularly in athletics. And over the last several years, we've had soccer teams and gymnasts and basketball and baseball and wrestling and you name it. We've brought it, swimming, all of it. I think this is the first time that I remember in all my time here that we've recognized a champion golfer. And so I want to read a little bit about Robbie Alexander III. And Robbie, can you come up here to the front and just I'm gonna recognize you here. A little bit about Robbie. Robbie Alexander III is right here at Campbell Middle School in Smyrna, Georgia, one of the top junior golfers in the state. Did I see you hitting balls on the range today? I did, didn't I? They had the inaugural golf tournament to support the golf team, and I noticed you hitting. So I know now where that nice swing came from. In 2025, he was named Junior State Champion after winning the GSGA Junior Tour Invitational, which is the official season finisher for junior golfers. He finished the 2025 season ranked #1 in Georgia for boys 12 to 15 9-hole division, leading the state in every major performance category, including highest point total, lowest scoring differential, top overall performance ranking score, and he participated in 13 competitive events, which is one of the highest participation totals amongst all top-ranked players. He earned the prestigious title of GSGA Junior Tour Player of the Year for his age division and secured 5 tournament victories in 2025, including his first ever competitive event win. He trains daily, sometimes more than 2 hours a day, under the guidance of Coach James. He's got a disciplined routine that incorporates full swing development, short game precision, strength and mobility work, and mental preparation, which I know as a guy that tries to play golf sometimes, it's almost all mental and hard to concentrate on. So that's not all he does. Academically, which we all know is the most important, he maintains straight A's in honors classes, has been on the principal's list every single year, and is active in leadership and academic clubs, including Beta Club and Future Business Leaders of America. He aspires to earn a full college scholarship, major in business, and compete at the collegiate level. So he's got exemplifies excellence both on and off the course. He's supported every day by his parents, Dr. Robert and Keely Alexander, and his sister Elle, and Coach James, and a close, supportive community of friends and families. We are thrilled to have you here tonight and recognize you for your achievements. Give him a huge round of applause. Bobby, anything you want to say? Got quite a fan club here.
Thank you. I'd like to thank my family, neighbors, and friends for always supporting me through tournaments and practices. My coach, Leonard James, he's always there every single day I come out to practice. He's helped me for years now and has always supported me through all these years. All of my friends, they've always been there since kindergarten. They're always supporting me, motivating me, and helping me to be a better person. And my grandparents, they have set the path for me academically. They've always helped me, and they've also helped me to be a great person.
Love that. Would you mind if I come down there and get a picture with you? It's okay to clap again for him. I saw it, yeah. I don't doubt it. Right here from Smyrna, Georgia. So great. Come on over here. We're going to go this way. Yeah, come on in here. Oh, this is awesome. I love it. I love it. Come on, Coach. Come on, get in here. Oh, yeah, you get it. Yeah, come on. There's room. There's room. There's room. There's room. You better get in there, too. All right.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Junior and his wife, we're pleased to be here and
Oh, of course. Glad
be
to.
part of the city for the last decade.
Very good.
From Washington.
From Washington. All right. Fun part of being in this role. That's a lot of fun. Congrats again. We had to cancel our last council meeting, so it's been since October 20th that we met, and we've had a lot going on. I was kind of taking notes. Some of the things since that time, we had our Crafts and Drafts Festival, College Football Saturday, we had the Halloween Spooky Fest. Thank you to our first responders and police for keeping all our neighborhoods safe during the Halloween time. We've had a couple of nonprofit events. The Support Smyrna Golf Tournament happened a week ago Friday, and we raised over $50,000 for the most vulnerable right here in our community. Smyrna Public Safety Foundation had an event right here downtown. The council had a mini retreat here last Friday to all kind of get on the same page and do a 6-month spot check on where we are with all of our programs and projects. We had an awesome Veterans Day program. We had to move it inside because that was the day that it was so cold after being 70 on each side of that day. And then we had an election, and we have one tomorrow for state senate here in Smyrna and surrounding area. And I want to ask, is there any candidate here who would like the opportunity to speak that's running for state senate? All right. I would encourage all of you to go out if you haven't voted early and vote tomorrow. We will have a new state senator. Probably not tomorrow. There's so many in the race, there'll probably be a runoff, but that election is tomorrow. So ton of stuff going on. We have our coming home for the holidays, where Santa lights the tree here in the downtown on December 2nd, which is a Tuesday. That's always a great scene down here. We've got choruses from the local schools singing on City Hall steps, and then everybody stays around for Santa to light the tree. So I hope to see y'all here for that. That concludes my mayoral report. We're going to move on now to proclamations and presentations, and we're going to start with item A. This is official recognition of the participants in the 2025 Smyrna Safe Business Program, and I'd like to invite Chief Marcos up here to talk a little bit about the program, what they had to do to be part of this, and then I'd like you to introduce the businesses that are part of this. And you don't have to stay if you don't want to, but we're real proud of these businesses as well.
Well, Mayor, as a moment of privilege, Robbie, I need you on my team, man. I support Smyrna golf tournament. I did not do very well, so I need you on my team. We got to talk after this, okay?
Hey, that's what I was going to do.
Wait a minute.
We'll figure this out. No, thank you, Mayor, for the opportunity to recognize some special businesses. Back in 2019, I know you're familiar with this because you came to this fire. Largest fire we ever had in Smyrna, lasted almost 2 weeks down SP Richards on the south end of our city. This was a major business within our city that ended up deciding to move out of the city and relocate after it had all the damage that it did. Not because it wasn't happy with the city of Smyrna, it just made a business decision. And from our perspective, we looked at that and we said, what can we do as a fire department to be proactive, not waiting for the businesses to call 911 when they need us, but to find ways to build resiliency around these businesses, especially on the cusp of COVID when so many businesses were going out. And so I'm happy to say that this is one of the most unique programs that are not only just in the city of Smyrna, but it's actually in the Southeast. We've had Alabama, other states in this region actually reach out and say, how are y'all doing this? And so what we've done is partnered with Carl Vinson Institute of Georgia. We've brought them in with cybersecurity. We actually use DAT as also an advisor on that topic. We do workplace violence. We do CPR, AED training. We cover a gambit of topics over 6 sessions where the business owner or their delegate comes in and actually sits in these 6 sessions and is instructed by one of our own, Lieutenant Evan McBrayer, who is our EMA specialist. And so far, the feedback we've gotten has been phenomenal. And so when they get done with this, they do a tabletop exercise at the very end and put all this together so that they can be a resilient business in the city of Smyrna, which we know is the lifeblood of our community. And so with that, I'm honored to recognize them as a Smyrna Safe business. This is over 20 businesses that we've now designated as a Smyrna Safe business. And so with that, I'd like to invite Evan McBrayer up. Or I'm sorry, we've got one of the class representatives here who'd like to say a few words. If I could get her to come up here. Dr. Sasha Tran with Alenia Chiropractic, if she could come up for just a minute.
This thing's a little tall. Okay, so what I wanted to say was that I believe that the fire department, the Smyrna Fire Department, really met their goal when they wanted to make sure that all these businesses are safe. Ever since being in this program, I feel more resilient when it comes to anything that happens. And of course, we don't have all the information or can go ahead and do everything right away, but because we've been through this, we don't have to rely so much on the people here because we are able to take care of ourselves before we have to call, to get help. And so because of this, I feel very safe, and I actually feel like we're able to figure out what's going on and that we can go ahead and, making sure that we have our clients, our patients, our staff safe. So thank you so much.
I'm honored to present the 2025 participants for the Smyrna Safe Business Program. First up is Dr. Ashley Linkhorn of Sports Chiropractic Institute. She's not. Next is Reggie Lee with B Dance with Miss Reggie.
Reggie, how's the new space working out downtown? Yeah. I think the ice cream place really likes it that you're there too. Yeah.
Not sure if she's here or not, but Lisa Lindsay with Fruity Bubble Cafe. Oh, represent, very good, representative. Victor Collins with Houndstown, Atlanta, Smyrna. I believe also has a representative, Bernard Brown with Joy Life Wellness. Jalila Campbell with Fusion Studios. Austin Toll with Carter's Pharmacy. And Dr. Sasha Tran with Alenia Chiropractic. And that's the 2025 participants of the Smyrna Safe Business Program.
Great program, Chief. Thank you for spearheading that, bringing that to us, and let's keep getting businesses to sign up and get involved. We have one more proclamation and presentation before we move into our regular agenda schedule, and that's the Smyrna Art Council recognition for artists for the new exhibit in City Hall and the Community Center. And I don't know if you've had an opportunity to see all the artwork here or down the hall in the Community Center, but just like youth and athletics, we've got a lot of talented artists in our city. And I told some of them as I was meeting with them over at the community center that we finally figured out how to get government out of the way and let y'all do what you do. And so you're starting to see out in the community, whether it's crosswalks or murals or just utility boxes being painted. All kinds of public art is starting to sprout up in our community, and that's not going to stop. That's just going to continue more and more, and it's these people who are so talented that make that happen. So I'd like to invite Pam, you want to come up and talk a little bit about the exhibit and what you're doing, and then maybe introduce some of the artists?
Yes,
okay.
Thank you. Hey, I'm Pamela Hayes-Malkoff, and I'm part of the board for the Smyrna Arts Council, and so honored. And this is Meryl. Yeah. And We are so honored to have 25 artists. Can we have our artists stand up who are here?
Come on up, please.
Come on.
Y'all come on up front.
Our exhibit, which is going through February, right, is all abstract art. So we have all different mediums. We have wood, we have paintings, we have collage, and everything in between. And just such an amazing group of artists. And so I just want to thank the council and Smyrna and the artists for letting us show their work and support our local artists.
We appreciate all of you and your support.
Thank y'all for sharing your talents with us. It looks awesome. Let's give them a round of applause. And Oglesby runs is the council representative with the arts, and we're going to go down and get a picture. Okay.
Yes, please.
Really enjoying the art.
Yeah, it's awesome. It really is.
Thank you.
All right. I don't bite. Come on.
Because I'll bite you back.
I don't know which one I'm looking at.
There's so many.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you so
We
much.
appreciate you.
We appreciate it. Enjoy the show.
Now, this is when we say you can stay for the rest of the agenda, but you don't have to. All right.
Thanks for all you do. Thank you again. Good night.
Thank you all for supporting art. You're
Thank you
smart.
very much. Thank you so much.
We're moving on now to community development items. We have 4 this evening. First one is item A for temporary authorization for a temporary sales certificate for a Christmas tree lot on Pebblebrook Road. Anything that you want to add, Mr. Jones?
Yes, sir. Community development take care of this one?
Pretty straightforward, I imagine.
Yes, sir. Rusty Martin, Community Development Director. This is a request for a temporary sales certificate for Christmas tree lot on Pebblebrook Road. If you guys remember, about a month and a half ago, you approved the produce stand at this location. Obviously, the seasons are changing and your merchandise is changing, so the request is to have a Christmas tree lot.
Any discussion? Council, I know this is in Councilman Oglesby's ward. Anything anybody want to talk about on this?
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Make this easy. Motion to approve by Mr. Oglesby, second by Ms. Hines. Everyone, please vote. Approved 7-0. We're off to a good start. Item B, this is a public hearing, authorization for a new request pawnbroker license for Atlanta Title Pawn LLC located at 2380 Cobb Parkway Southeast here in Smyrna. Mr. Jones, any background, please?
Mayor, this is a new request for Atlanta Title Pawn. The application was made for a pawnbroker license. It's be located at 2380 Cobb Parkway here in Smyrna. We've reviewed this application, and staff has recommended denial of the application. The particular location where it's being applied for does not meet the location requirements in our ordinance, section 2285.
I'd like to invite the applicant up now. Or is it, Rusty, did you have any presentation? Okay, invite the applicant up. If you'll introduce yourself, be sworn in by our city attorney.
My name's Autumn McClellan, and this is Dan Mosera. Yes, sir. We are here asking for an approval. The code does not, the code is ambiguous and not clear. It does not define how the path should be determined. So the survey that we have submitted is the path of travel, which is what the survey company suggested and said that is used So we're asking for it to be approved based on that.
Any questions of the applicant?
So when we went in to apply for this, we asked for, how do you want this to be measured? And the code does not say, it just says 1,000 feet. So we asked for a checklist of how would you like this to be measured. Is it a straight line? Is it a path of travel? Is it door to door? And there's nothing in the code that allows us to know what's the path. So when we went, we hired United Land Survey. They've been doing business license in Smyrna for 30 years. They created the survey for us, and we were 1,055 feet from a title max. So we thought we were okay. And I guess the community development came back and said, no, it's line of path. And my only question was, well, why isn't that in the code? Line of path from door to door. We are a Atlanta Title Pond. We've been in business for 15 years in Marietta. We service commercial customers. About 70% of our loans are for commercial people trying to make payroll. I don't compete that much against Title Max. We don't do low-end cars. We, like I said, 60% are people trying to make payroll, bring in, dump trucks and work equipment, and we help the community for these 30-day loans. So we're hoping you guys could overlook. I think I did get another survey, and it was about 875 feet linear, and we're 1,055 path of travel from a Title Max. So we're hoping you guys would reconsider that.
Thank you. Any discussion amongst council before we open up the public hearing? Public hearing, if there's anybody who wants to speak for or against this item, please come up and be sworn in by our city attorney. All right, seeing none, we will close the public hearing, and I will turn it over to Councilman Pickens.
Thank you, Mayor. Based on the distance requirement in the ordinance, I will make a motion to deny 7B LIC 2025-039.
Councilman Pickens has made a motion to deny. Is there a second for that motion? Second by Mr. Lindley. Been a motion and a second. Everyone, please vote. Heather, looks like we're having some difficulty on the... All right, we'll take this vote by hand. All those in favor of the motion to deny will raise their hand. That's a unanimous vote, 7-0. That application is denied. We'll move on now to item C. This is a public hearing, zoning -007, rezoning from O&I to MU conditional for mixed-use 250 multifamily unit development on Highlands Parkway. Mr. Jones, any background, please?
Mayor, the applicant is requesting to be rezoned from O&I to MU conditional for mixed-use development with 250 multi-family units and additional 2,500 square feet of retail. The future land use for this area calls for it to be industrial, and the land use change from mixed use is required, which is the purpose of this zoning hearing. The Planning and Zoning Commission has reviewed this and has voted to deny the request by a vote of 7-0 at their August 11th meeting.
Martin?
Yes, sir. This request went to P&Z on August 11th. It's been tabled subsequently since that date. You guys will hear tonight and make final action on it. The subject property is located at Highlands Parkway. It's vacant tract. It doesn't have an address, but it's pretty much right across from Technology Court in Highlands Parkway. It's almost 7 acres in size. Currently, the property is being used as overflow parking facility for the Fountains office building. The applicant is proposing a mixed-use development with 250 multifamily units at 38 units per acre and 2,500 square feet of retail within that building. The request is to go from OI, office institutional, to mixed-use conditional. The zoning map reflects OI zoning on either side of the property, on the east and west side, and then across the street to the south, there's office distribution, office, and general commercial zoning. The city's future land use map has the property designated as industrial. And with this request, it'll require a land use change to that map and change it from industrial to mixed use. The adjoining properties to the north, east, south, and west are industrial, and then on the south side, there's a little bit of community activity center. This is the subject site plan for the development. You'd enter off of Highlands Parkway, pretty much right in between the Fountains development and this site, and then there'll be a subsequent additional entrance to the west in alignment with Technology Court. With this development, the setbacks, they're looking at a front setback of 115 feet, a side setback of 95, and a rear setback of 40. The multifamily building is proposed to be 5 stories in height and then have a 4-story split in it. There'll be 250 units that will be 120 one-bedroom units, 115 two-bedroom, and 15 three-bedroom. And on the first floor, there'll be the leasing office and retail area, and then there'll be an amenity area, pool, and courtyard. With this request, there'll be 377 parking spaces. And then your access drive and stormwater detention will be underground at the back of the property. Oop. And with this request, there are 6 variances that go along with it. And these variances are due to using the mixed-use zoning classification. That zoning classification requires the buildings to be pulled up to the street, have pedestrian-oriented design, and this is pushed off the street, so it's requiring several variances from the mixed-use zoning district. The first being to increase the maximum front setback from 20 feet up to 115 feet, to allow an increase in the maximum side setback from 20 feet up to 95 feet, and then allow an increase in the residential density from 25 units per acre up to 38 units per acre. Number 4, to eliminate the requirement for that there be consistent building edge along a public sidewalk. And number 5, to eliminate the requirement that the off-street surface parking shall be prohibited between the building and the adjacent street. And then number 6, to allow more than 15% of the units to be rental units. Typically, when you're giving variances, there's either a hardship or your plan is meeting the future land use plan, and there's slight design and development issues that you're trying to overcome. In this case, this doesn't meet the city's future land use plan, and in the design is going against what is requested from the mixed use standpoint. These are the proposed elevations of the building. The city's future land use map calls this area out to be an industrial land use. And as you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, lists the appropriate land uses that are appropriate for this land use designation and the corresponding zoning districts. And as you can see, mixed use is not an appropriate zoning district in this. With respect to the land use analysis, Highlands Parkway is a corridor with many properties within the industrial land use designation and is a major industrial employment center for the city. The industrial land use designation is characterized by manufacturing, distribution facilities, and equipment that are often disruptive to residential properties. And we know this because we have conflicts with the existing industrial uses out there with the surrounding single-family homes that abut these uses. Modifying the land use category of one property from industrial to mixed use on Highlands Parkway would be inconsistent with the intent of the comprehensive plan and future land use map. This would be a mixed use zoning dropped in the middle of an industrial classification that is surrounded by office and industrial uses. Next, the addition of 250 residential units on Highlands Parkway will create conflicts with the existing industrial businesses and associated heavy freight traffic that travel the corridor. And finally, the mixed-use land use and zoning district is intended for pedestrian-oriented developments within the designated activity centers. And obviously, this is a suburban design where the building is pulled off the street and surrounded by surface parking. These are pictures of the subject property. Community Development is recommending denial of the rezoning from OI to mixed use conditional and the land use change from industrial to mixed use at 0 Highlands Parkway for a mixed use development with 250 hotel rooms and 2,500 square feet of retail at a density of 38 units per acre. The P&Z board, they also recommended denial, and they voted at 7-0 with respect to that. Should the council believe that approve this request, we'd make one recommendation that you guys add 3 zoning stipulations, and two of them are related to the site plan submitted and the elevation submitted, if you guys will hold them to that if you decide to approve this. And number 3, the applicant has proffered 2 stipulations related to providing 5 units at affordable rates, which is 80% of the area median income, and that they'll fund the installation of a traffic signal at Highlands Parkway and Lake Ridge Drive. So if you guys choose to approve it, we'd recommend that you add these stipulations to go along with that to hold them to what they're proposing. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions for you.
Questions of Rusty?
Rusty, a lot of the variants are associated with the use of mixed use. How come, do you know why the applicants didn't use a multifamily category?
Because they're providing a commercial use with it. So currently our commercial or our multifamily zoning districts don't have the ability to allow for retail and commercial uses. Mixed use is about the only category that does that.
On that last slide, I'm just thinking it was a mistake, but it
yeah.
Can you pull
That's
that
the
last
error.
slide up again?
Yeah, it's an error. Yeah.
So it
Talking
says,
about where it says 250 hotel,
Yeah.
obviously that is
Yeah,
not.
we missed that. It's an error. Yeah. Multifamily
Could be
units, yeah.
multifamily units. Yep.
thank you.
Any other questions for Rusty? Thank you. I'd like to invite the applicant up. Chairman Scott.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. I'm Kevin Moore here on behalf of the applicant, which is Wood Partners, in this application for rezoning. I'm also going to be joined tonight to give part of this presentation by Blake Brady and Bennett Sands, specifically Blake Brady, both with Wood Partners. who will provide additional details for your consideration. I'm going to introduce this application for your consideration, and then they'll be providing a presentation to you as well about this project. First, of all people, we very much, Wood Partners, myself, respect staff, their professional opinion. It's just in this instance, we respectfully disagree. We believe that there are changing conditions and circumstances for this property in this area specifically, which we think give grounds and supporting grounds for consideration by you for approval. The staff certainly wants to support its future land use plan, and we understand that. But this area, when you look along Highlands Parkway, it's an area that's developed actually as very much a mixture of use. It's a mixed-use parkway, Highlands Parkway is. It's zoned and used for office uses, extensive office uses. It also has some industrial uses that are distribution and office industrial types of uses. But importantly, directly across Highlands Parkway, there are significant commercial, retail, and restaurant offerings and uses that are right there on Highlands Parkway. And there's also residential on Highlands Parkway, there at Lake Ridge. Exactly those uses are all on Highlands Parkway. That's a mixture of uses if I've ever seen one along Highlands Parkway. Our proposal, we believe, to rezone this 7 acres is consistent, though, with that mixture of uses. It adds to the mixture that's already there. This area is not dominated by one particular use. It's dominated by the variety of uses that are along Highlands Parkway. And therefore, we believe this proposal by Wood Partners adds to, doesn't take away, and certainly is not inconsistent with that mixture. Moreover, as a community and as a region, from that perspective, it's unquestioned that there is a housing shortage, and we need housing, especially in areas that are in close proximity to major employment centers, like Highlands Parkway is, a major employment center with the offices that are there and located. It's a great location, given its proximity to South Cobb Drive and 285, its proximity to the East-West Connector through Highlands Parkway. That connectivity and that proximity, again, has an opportunity here to place housing in an area that can access those types of major roadways in short distance and can access those types of employment centers and the mixture of uses that are there. Again, this proposal is one that, yes, it's not consistent with the future land use plan, but that's because we believe that the future land use plan hasn't caught up to what Highlands Parkway has become over the number of years that it has developed out. At this point, what I'd like to do, though, so that you can have the details that you need from Wood Partners. Wood Partners, again, this is a company and a developer that has built and developed very successful multifamily projects in the city of Smyrna, outstanding projects in the city. They're a welcome member, I know, of the city for what the projects they have brought, and I think it's important to hear from them and their perspective on what their vision is for this project specifically as well. So I'm going to invite Blake Brady up to give you that presentation as well, and we're certainly all available to answer any questions that you may have and respectfully request actually your approval of the application.
How's it going? My name is Blake Brady. I am with Wood Partners. Really excited to be here tonight. I know we've had conversations with some of you along the way, so we're excited to finally be here tonight. Kevin did a good job of telling you guys why we love the location, but I want to dive into a little bit more of our history here in Smyrna, and I just want to make sure, can you see the package that I have on my screen? Can anybody help? We have a package that we prepared. Is there anybody that can help put that on there? Yes, it's right here. Oh, there we go. I think everybody should see it now. Great. So again, diving into that history, it really is important to stress the fact that Wood Partners has a strong history here in Smyrna with the development of 400 Belmont and Sinkent Jonquil. 400 Belmont was done in 2014. It's located at the intersection of Windy Hill Road and Atlanta Road, and then Sinkent Jonquil, which is at the intersection of Spring Road and Atlanta Road. And over the last 8 months, I brought up both of these developments in every conversation I've had as an intro to who we are, and I've only heard positive feedback on each of these. Both of these developments are, at this point, a decade plus old, and they continue to be some of the best multifamily developments in Smyrna. And I think that's a testament to the long-lasting quality product that we build, the type of developments that you want in your city. And as for any of the council members or community development members that have been here since we've built both of those, I think they can attest to the fact that Wood Partners builds great product. Here's some pictures of what these developments look like. And again, Kevin did a great job of why we love this. To summarize, if I pull up the location, we have office jobs to our right and our left. We have jobs all along Highlands Parkway. There's residential demand in this location. 1,000 feet to our left, you have Highlands View townhomes. 1,000 feet to our right, you have the West Hill townhomes. People want to live here. As Kevin mentioned, you have great access to the interstate. And the fourth point here, you're about 5 minutes away from Class A grocery stores and Publix and Sprouts. Who wouldn't want to live in this location? As I move on, here's why I think Smyrna Council and Mayor should love this development. First and foremost, the development aligns with Smyrna's 2040 comp plan. Maybe it doesn't align with the future land use map, but it definitely hits goal number 3, which is to encourage the development of a range of housing choices in order to meet market demand and allow residents to remain in Smyrna across different life cycle stages. Policy 3.3 specifically says encouraging housing opportunities to ensure that those who work within Smyrna have the option of living within the city. And again, we're projecting that a lot of our residents will be working along Highlands Parkway. This development checks those boxes. And as part of this, I know is brought up in Rusty's presentation, but one of our proffered conditions is setting aside 5 units, affordable units at 80% AMI. And as a reminder to the group, our site is located within the Highlands Parkway Property Owners Association. And in order to move forward with this development, we needed the individual owners along this corridor to approve of our proposed use. And I'm happy to say that the businesses overwhelmingly support our development. Out of the 24 owners, we had 18 yes votes, which is just overwhelming support. They want us to be here. These businesses include the Home Depot Innovation Center, Engineered Solutions of Georgia, and Healy Brown, just to name a few. And we have an executed amendment that we included as part of this package. And in addition to that, the Property Owners Association Board recommended approval to the ownership, and we went door to door to introduce ourselves to the local businesses here, tell them what we're intending to do, and we had a handful of signatures there as well. In addition to that, I'd also like to point out that there will be a significant property tax increase here. As a vacant parcel, the total tax bill is right around $11,000. With our proposed development, it'll be north of $700,000. I'd also like to point out why I think the Highlands View townhome residents will appreciate our development, which brings me to our second proffered condition, which is to pay for a traffic signal along Highlands Parkway and Lake Ridge Drive. Now, I want to make sure we're all on the same page here. This traffic signal will directly benefit the Highlands View townhomes. It is right at this intersection where the circle is. It'll benefit the properties along Lake Ridge, and it will benefit the Highlands Grove offices across the street. Concerns, over the last months have been brought up regarding this intersection, and we're doing everything we can to demonstrate that we want to be good neighbors here and pay for this traffic signal. There's a few things I want to address head on before I open it up for any questions. At the work session last Thursday, I was asked if we've addressed any of Planning Commission's comments, and the answer is yes. One thing that was brought up was noise along Highlands Parkway, and to address that, we'll be installing higher rated STC windows along that facade. Oh, and by the way, the front setback variance that we're requesting will help alleviate any of those noise concerns. And in addition to that, when looking at our front setback variance, this request aligns with the existing conditions along Highlands Parkway. It's more of a function of the zoning designation that we're targeting, but you'll see setbacks for most of these buildings and parking fronting the street. Another thing that's been brought up along the way has been potentially receiving complaints from residents. And one of the great things about multifamily development is that most concerns or complaints are handled internally. We have on-site property management, we have on-site maintenance, and they are responsible for handling those concerns or complaints. So to summarize, this is sensible growth in a great location, and with that, I'll open it up for any questions.
Questions? Hines.
Thank you very much for being here. Thank you, Mr. Moore, as well. You have a lot of things that you would like for us to consider, and in considering them, I have some questions. If you could help with, why should we ignore our future land use study?
So with respect to what we're trying to develop here, I don't believe that industrial is something that specifically works here. If you look at this site plan, this will be much more of a burdensome and a nuisance to the existing residents and the businesses in this specific area. Yes, maybe as you go further down Highlands Parkway, it makes more sense, but this here truly makes sense to redevelop as a multifamily opportunity.
When you speak of existing residents and you talked about the townhome communities, have you spoken to those townhome communities?
Unfortunately, I have not. I tried, Councilman Oglesby tried to reach out to them and set up a meeting with them. The community manager that runs that property and asset, unfortunately, would not facilitate that meeting, but we did try.
Not facilitated because they didn't like the idea of it?
Correct. So as part of their vote, the board that represents the townhomes voted no on our development, but we didn't get a chance to actually speak to the residents, and candidly, not sure how they would feel.
But the board is not in agreement?
The board of the Highlands View townhomes is not in agreement.
Okay.
And it is worth pointing out that this traffic signal will directly benefit that property, and we wanted them to know that.
I understand about the traffic signal for that purpose of the townhomes, but you're adding in, that area is already zoned, and somebody who knows a lot better, somebody like a Quirky or whatever with all the industrial or whatever, it's already zoned for office industrial. You've said that the office partners around there are okay with it, but they leave at like 5 o'clock. They leave. Their business is done, and so we have to be very careful, at least in my thought process, especially seeing about what we've already heard from some people who are living in an area that is heavily industrial around that area and have issues with the noise and everything else there. So it's kind of concerning that if people who live around it and the townhomes who are there are not in agreement with this coming there. And then
to clarify.
And one other thing, just because this is the part that your developments are fantastic. The developments are fantastic. It would be great to see this development maybe in a different area. I understand what you're trying to accomplish, but if we approve it, and and this is where you help me, I don't know. If we approve it, it becomes an island in a sense because the rest of the area is still zoned in OI. That would mean that we would, if someone else came before us, we would have to do the same consideration and doing all these changes of variances, and then the future land use, we would be ignoring for the whole area. It's almost like if we do this, then it's a whole precedent of changing the whole plan. So
Well-
can you tell me why we should do that?
Yeah, so I would make the argument that there is precedent for having residential here, and that's proof of the Highlands View townhomes and the West Hill townhomes. So this area does have residential in it.
Anybody else have questions?
Mr. Welch.
To Ms. Hines, I understand your situation too, but we're facing another similar situation where we have residential properties against industrial and type properties. But in this case, we would have when property, they're going to know what's on either side of them. I mean, it's established, and that would be my answer to what you.
Wilkinson.
Thank you, Mayor. So I have a couple of questions. I think there's, in the documents, 2,500 square feet of retail.
Correct.
Can you pull up the site plan again?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. And as far as where that retail will be, and will it also, will the rental offices be a part of that space, that 2,500 square foot?
No, so if you look at the site plan here, there's a shaded section, which is the leasing amenity, and then a crosshatch section, which says retail.
A little bit hard.
I don't know if you see my cursor. That's where the retail will be.
Okay.
The retail square footage is separate from the leasing and amenity space.
Okay.
And again, we're intending and envisioning this to be neighborhood-focused retail. These are the coffee shop inspiration images that we would look to provide. It would be a very nice community amenity where people could come in, grab a cup of coffee, grab a bagel, etc.
Okay, thank you. The other thing, if we could look at the site plan, and I'm assuming there's going to be sidewalks within the community and access
That's
to the
correct.
sidewalk.
Yes.
That's on Highland Parkway.
Yes, that's correct. There's a crosswalk or a couple of crosswalks right in front of the leasing amenity that would take you to a sidewalk that would take you out to Highlands Parkway.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Mr. Gould.
Blank, thanks so much for your work, and you guys put a lot of effort to get to this point. For the mixed-use aspect, to me, it looks like an apartment, a multifamily development. And so do you know what the minimum square footage of retail you need to qualify for mixed use?
Off the top of my head, no, I do not.
But most of the mixed use applications that developments we see here are really focused on retail that attract residents and visitors from the outside. Really here, to your point, the mixed use is really meant for, generally be targeted for your residents, right?
No, we do believe that this is for the offices adjacent to us as well. The Fountain Spark office, when they come into work, they can come in, grab a coffee, grab a pastry, etc. This is for everybody to use. So yes, we intend for not just our residents, but for the adjacent businesses and even for the existing residents along this corridor.
Products are great. You've well by the city, for the city over the years. Appreciate that. So, yeah, for mixed use, I'd much prefer to see more engaging retail, commercial activity.
Any other questions for the applicant?
Thank you.
Say somebody else is coming up here too, or no? Hearing, I invite anybody who wants to speak for or against this item to come up and be sworn in by our city attorney. Everybody come up together, all of y'all. If you even think you're going to speak, come on up and get sworn in. You'll state your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Kemia Jitmain, 6216 Ocmulgee River Lane, Mableton or Smyrna, depending on who you ask. But
Try to speak into the microphone, okay?
Mableton or Smyrna, depending on who you ask, but I live along the river. So I wasn't planning to speak on this, but heard about it. I know that our community has been in lots of conversations with many of you all around the industrial nature of where we live along Riverview Road. And so I did want to highlight that I believe me and some of my neighbors would be in support of some of the mixed-use retail things like coffee shop, restaurants. And so just wanted to make sure that our community and some of the conversations that we've been having with you all around our concern about the industrial use were not like part of the reasons why not to deny this, because I do believe our community would be in support of something that brought, more positive things like coffee and restaurants and things to the community. So just wanted to offer that.
Good evening, Barrett Carter, 4504 Oak Brook Drive. I wanted to come speak against this proposal and wanted to just put my thoughts down to try to respect your time limit this evening. Good evening, Mayor and City Council and staff. Thank you for the opportunity to speak against the proposed development. The proposed development does not fit. By review of the public record, the Planning and Zoning Commission voted this down 7-0. City staff does not recommend the rezoning and has denied or recommends against all 6 variances. The proposed development does not align with the City of Smyrna's comprehensive planned land use development designation. In the developer's original presentation, the Planning and Zoning on August 11th, they stated that Goal 3 was to encourage the development of a range of housing choices in order to meet market demand and allow residents to remain in Smyrna. The example that was used was that they are people that work along Highlands Parkway that are leasing units in their Union City development, which is a 45-minute drive to work. Having been a resident of Cobb County for 32 years and the City of Smyrna for 25 years, a 45-minute drive, while not desired, is not unheard of. However, I'm not sure that a small handful of 45-minute commutes would justify this development. It simply does not fit. The developer has provided a school impact analysis that appears to have been created based on a review of Cobb County School District's enrollment study annual update from last year. However, it seems to state conclusions that do not match reality. While the analysis provides the under-capacity numbers of Campbell Middle School and Campbell High School at 87% and 92% respectively, it did not provide the level of detail such as that for Nickajack Elementary School, so I looked it up. The study provided that Nickajack is currently over capacity at 127%, which is the highest overage in Cobb County's 64 elementary schools. It's outpacing the second place school by nearly 10%. That same report also states that in the past 3 years, more apartments have been built in Cobb County than single-family residences. Cobb County is one of the fastest growing counties by percentage, and the Atlanta Regional Commission, or ARC, states that Cobb's population will hit 1 million by 2050. The Cobb County School Board adjusted that projection down by 86,000, yet their own report states that the ARC is a very reliable agency and that this adjusted projection serves as an indicator that Cobb's population will, quote, continue to grow. I reached out to the principal of Nickajack for her thoughts. I've not heard back from her yet. However, in fairness to her, I called her earlier today, and she's not had much time to return my call. A new bus stop would likely need to be added, but the question is where. I've seen a handful of bus stops in front of apartment complexes on major roads like South Cobb Drive. Adding a bus stop onto Highlands Parkway would surely present a safety concern, especially with the amount of freight traffic that road currently receives and the amount of stoppage time in rush hour. Regarding safety, one of the development's entrances is across the street from a pizzeria and a cigar bar, both of which close at 2 a.m. 7 days a week. Pedestrians will cross Highlands Parkway at 2 a.m. The developer has proposed paying for a traffic signal at Lake Ridge Drive. It is highly unlikely that a patron leaving an establishment at 2 a.m. will walk 2,000 feet west to Lake Ridge Drive or 1,000 feet east to the Oakdale Drive crossing just to reach the crosswalk. They'll simply walk the 80 feet across Highlands Parkway at 2 a.m. The developer acknowledged that the speed on Highland Parkway is excessive, and the speed on that road at 2 a.m. and pedestrians simply don't mix. Regarding area support, the developer stated that they've gone down Highlands Parkway and met with all businesses they could possibly meet with to gather support signatures for their intended development. There were 13 on the list as of the revision. That's considerably more than 13 businesses on Highlands Parkway, and I'd imagine that the low quality of signatures or quantity of signatures is likely parallel to the support. Regarding affordable housing, the developers August 21st proffered conditions letter to you all stated that they would provide 5 affordable units with rents set at 80% of AMI, or area median income. According to HUD, 80% of that would be considered low income. 5 units out of 250 is only 2%. That concession would not be enough to say that this proposed development should be one that addresses affordable housing. 2% does not even move the needle. Lastly, the May 7th traffic impact study stated that the impact of the proposed development would be minimal. I welcome the author of that study to tell that to the people that drive on that road daily. I believe they would respectfully disagree. If for some reason this is approved, would the developer be willing to install a separate pedestrian activated flashing crossing as currently installed on South Cobb Drive at the Novus Apartments? Would the developer consider an overhead crossing like the one at Glock just up Highlands Parkway, a proposed 395 bedroom development housing 400 to 800 people, dwarfs what Glock employs in Smyrna on Highlands Parkway? Would the developer consider what sort of precedence this would set in the area? And if the coffee shop fails, will there be restrictions on what sort of retail can go in a limited 2,500 square foot area when there's 395 bedrooms available? 395 units, pardon me, or excuse me, bedrooms available. In other words, as a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission said, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. To require this many variances just seems odd. In my opinion, this development just does not fit. The application for rezoning should be denied. Thank you for all the opportunity to speak to you all tonight.
Is there anybody else who wants to speak for or against this item here tonight? Close the public hearing, and this is in Ward 7. I'll turn it over to Councilman Oglesby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to make a motion to approve this development based off the recommendations by the staff, if approved.
Say that one more time, Mr. Oglesby.
I would like to make a recommendation to approve this development with the recommendations set forth today by the staff, which includes the traffic signal, the low income home apartment complexes, to name a few.
So as presented.
As presented.
We have a motion to approve by Councilman Oglesby. Do we have a second? Second by Mr. Welch. Everyone please vote. Just Mr. Pickens is left now. So I think they bear with us just a moment, having technical issues. All right, that is, that motion fails 5-2. All right. Move on now to item D. Oh, yeah, that's true. That, that has, I have to have a motion to deny now? That motion to approve was, okay, all right, so. You're asking me to ask for a deny. Okay, so that fails, so I need a motion to deny then. Okay, so moved by Mr. Lindley, second by Mr. Gould. Everyone, please vote. So the motion to deny is approved 5-2. Right. Now we'll move on to item D. This is a public hearing, special land use permit to allow a modular office and storage container on Riverview Road. Mr. Jones, the background, please.
Mayor, Arrow Waste has applied for a special land use permit that would allow a temporary modular office, a 6,000-gallon fuel tank, and a storage container at 6310 Riverview Road. Admittedly, the way that this is presented is a bit confusing, since the fuel tank in and of itself is not part of what the city would be approving. That approval would come directly from the State Fire Marshal's office, which has been granted. The property is currently zoned as heavy industrial, and its existing business is a permitted use. With that, the recommendation from Community Development recommends approval of the request with 4 conditions, and I will read those conditions, all of which particularly pertain to the fuel storage tank. However, again, that approval is not part of your action. That approval has already been approved by the State Fire Marshal. The modular office, fuel tank, and storage container shall only be allowed for a period of 24 months after the date if approved. The applicant requires the modular office, fuel tank, and storage container for a longer period of time, then the applicant must reapply for approval. Number 2, the applicant shall install a UL 2085 series fuel tank with a maximum capacity of 6,000 gallons. The UL 2085 6,000-gallon fuel tank shall have a minimum separation of 5 foot from any structure and a minimum separation of 15 feet from any property line. And number 4, the state and city fire marshal approval is required for the fuel tank prior to the issuance of the occupational tax certificate. And as noted, the state fire marshal has already deemed approval.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Rusty, anything to add?
No, he did a great job summarizing it.
Still Rusty's thunder. Right. In here? Doesn't look like the applicant's here. Public hearing, I'd like to invite anybody who wants to speak for or against this item to come up and be sworn in. Anybody want to speak for or against this item? Everybody come up. You think you want to speak? Come on up. If each of you, when you come up, will state your name and address for the record, please.
I'm Kemi Jitamane, 6216 Ocmulgee River Lane. Again, it's a little unclear to me if there is anything related to the fuel storage that's being voted on here. And so at the risk of, is there? I don't know if I'm allowed to ask questions.
That was approved by the state fire marshal. This is only, the council is acting on whether to allow a modular office and storage container. So this does not have anything to do with the fuel, no.
Okay, so there's no action this council's taking on the fuel storage. Okay, well then I don't have comments. Obviously, if we were taking action on the fuel storage or the council wasn't making any decision, we would want the opportunity to provide those comments. And so just wanted to put that in the record because my understanding is that the county has not and is not, the city council, taking any action as relates to the fuel storage.
That's not in our,
Okay, I just want to make sure.
that is granted by the state. Ms. Rusty.
Mayor, the applicant is here. He could not hear.
Oh, okay.
So,
I'm going to invite the applicant up to speak, and then we'll continue with the public hearing. Is that, Scott, that's all right in that? Okay, come on up.
Good evening, council. Name is Scott Roberts with Arrow Waste. The property that in question is zoned heavy industrial. We have listened to the recommendations from the state as well as the city as to what to do with our requests, and then we've either met or exceeded the requirements, as well as we did take some of the recommendations and add those on our behalf based on what the state requested. So other than that, that's really all we got to say.
Any questions of the applicant? Thank you. We'll continue with the public hearing.
Hello, hope you guys are doing well. I'm Kyler Wilson from 1704 Trout Lily Place, Smyrna, Georgia. Now that I do have a little bit more of an understanding, I don't know if I'm allowed to ask a question, but is the modular office itself, is that going to be temporary as well, or is that going to be permanent?
Rusty, you want to answer that?
that will be a temporary use on the building, on the site.
And they would have to come back every 2 years?
Yep. And we can clarify this with the applicant, but the understanding is that this area is going to be redeveloped here eventually. We know the property owner is actively marketing the property for sale. So Arrow Waste understands that this is going to be a temporary use here in the meantime till the property gets redeveloped. So the request is to have a temporary office that'll be removed and taken off the site when the property gets redeveloped at that point.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Have a good night. Yes.
Good evening. I have a similar question to the gentleman who just spoke. So it's also my understanding that everything in this area in terms of industrial use is temporary, such as Arrow Waste. So maybe, Rusty, you might be the correct person to ask this. Do we have any idea when that's going to be turned over? I know myself and I think some of my other neighbors who spoke, this was presented as it would be something that's happening along with all of the other changes that are happening in the area. But we continue to put things on for temporary use. So my question is, how long is temporary? And that does seem like something that would be in the city's remit, unlike the fuel tanker. So is there somewhere that I can find that information, or do we have any conversations that are happening around that?
Yeah, the subject property was, I guess, 3 years ago. Brand Properties made a rezoning request for the 20 acres that abuts this, just south of the Riverview Landing development. Mayor and council approved that request for 300 units and 5,000 square feet of commercial. However, due to financing and underwriting and everything else with inflation, that project hasn't moved forward. That property is still zoned for that and entitled for it. Obviously, the property owner now has to find somebody else to do the project. So in addition to that, we are updating our comprehensive plan here by 2027, because it's our 10-year mandated update. And now that we've annexed this area legislatively from Cobb County into Smyrna, we can plan for the improvements and get them on record and get a short-term work program and then longer-range plans for improvements.
Anybody else who wanted to speak for or against this? Come on up.
Mr. Mayor and Mr. Council. My name is James McKay. I'm a resident along with many of my neighbors at the Riverview communities. First off, I wanted to say thank you, Mayor and Representative and everyone else. What we have seen engaged is the city working to help us find solutions, and I am grateful, and I know our community is grateful, and I definitely appreciate the time that everyone has spent doing so. The first thing I'd like to enter into record is the last time that we were here discussing this during the Zoning Commission, there were questions specifically about the fuel tank, and I think that's what led myself and a lot of my neighbors to believe that this was a conversation that allowed for the fuel tank. And since we were asking questions specifically about if that was allowed or not during that meeting, I think that's led myself and a lot of my neighbors to believe that it was a continued part of the conversation. And I'd love to see where it's noted specifically and where it was discovered by the council that the temporary container office and the fuel storage were separate, because when we were told about the plan from the city council, we were specifically told that yes, it was a fire permit, but the fire permit was to be considered by the council. And then when it was voted on, we then were told that it was up to this council to vote on the next step. So we just learned a little bit of different information during the first meeting, and I know we might not be able to do so now, but I would like to put it in the record. We'd like some clarification on what was said during that zoning commission, and specifically the questions and how the fuel storage tanker was spoken about and presented to us as a community. And then secondly, I'm going to go back onto my spiel that many of you heard, and unfortunately many of my neighbors have heard, but I am a lifelong resident. I remember being a very small child and driving on Riverview Road with my father, and I remember him pulling off and stopping at the Chattahoochee River so we could find turtles and bring them home. That was a favorite pastime of mine. I ran away from home, came back a few years ago with my beautiful wife, and was thrilled to see what I had discovered on Riverview Road, so close to where I grew up and so close to what was Georgia and Smyrna and home to me. And in our last council meeting, I feel like myself and my neighbors, our concerns were dismissed with not understanding Riverview, not having done our due diligence of Riverview, and not understanding the history of Riverview. And council, I thought long and hard about that. And I worried, how could I not understand Riverview? I grew up off of Riverview. I wondered why, if I hadn't done due diligence, why my wife and I had invested in our new home on Riverview without due diligence. And I thought about it and I thought about it. And then what I realized is that I had an amazing group of neighbors. I had an amazing community that I had become a part of. And all of us had done our research on Riverview, and all of us had done our due diligence on Riverview, and all of us understood what Riverview was, and that what I respectfully asked the council to is to understand that Riverview is not what it was 40 years ago. It was not what it is when I grabbed turtles. It is a community full of 162 homes. It's a community full of these people here. It is a community of new businesses, of small restaurants, of coffee shops, of breweries, of the #3 barbecue restaurant in the country. So I would hope, Smyrna would hope, to keep that posted versus we keep waste storage next to such things. And as I investigated more, it continued to concern me about my connection with the space and why, while I understand zoning needs, I understand all of our legal aspects, my question is, are our priorities as a city for residents and small business, or private equity firms that own Aero Waste? And then in this meeting, we've also spoken about how Aero Waste is clearly here temporary. They only want this temporary. We don't have to worry about it because in 2 years, it's temporary. They don't even want to be here. They're looking to move out is what we just heard this evening. None of my neighbors are looking to move out. None of the residents that I live with, my wife and I, no one that has bought a home and become a resident of Smyrna in a newly zoned residential space is planning to move away from the area. And I would very much like that to be considered in tonight's thought about the vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else who wants to speak for or against this? I'll have to be sworn in by Mr. Cochran. I don't believe you were sworn in. I saw that letter. I saw it.
Did you all see it? If not, I'm going to read it. Okay. Excuse me, I really can't see this. It's kind of small, but this is from the Chattahoochee River Keeper. Oh, my name is Cody Hughley, and I live at 1641 Flint River Place, Smyrna, Georgia, 30126. So this is from the Chattahoochee River Keeper, and it says, Dear Mayor, Derek Norton, and Council, Chattahoochee River Keeper is a nonprofit environmental advocacy organization dedicated to protection and stewardship of the Chattahoochee River and watershed. CRK represents more than 10,000 members who use and enjoy the river system and depend on the Chattahoochee River and its lakes as a source of drinking water, recreation, and economic development. Chattahoochee Riverkeeper main office is located at 6020 Riverview Road, southeast, a few hundred feet from Arrow Waste, a solid waste transfer station. Arrow Waste has applied for a special land use permit to allow a modular office building, 6,000-gallon fuel tank, and storage container at 6310 Riverview Road, southeast. The property does not have sewer service. While the property that Arrow Waste occupies is zoned heavy industrial, the adjacent properties to the north, south, east, and west are zoned mixed use and are largely residential. Over the last 15 years, former industrial properties along the corridor have been converted to single-family homes, townhomes, and apartments. Sorry, I'm trying to find it. This is very small. The city and other partners are invested in parks, trails, and river access along Riverview Road, expanding industrial use at 6310 Riverview Road with a sewage storage for the modular office and additional fuel storage. Threatens the river with potential leaks and spills. We are excited about the changes of the Chattahoochee River corridor in Smyrna and appreciate all the city is doing to create and maintain river access. We support our neighborhood on Riverview Road that opposed the special land use permit that expands to Arrow Waste property. And I just want to say, I oppose it myself. One reason is because driving down where the Arrow Waste is at, it's not even a fence over there. It's just like a little small gate. They keep the trash trucks. I mean, it's trash. You know, sometimes it's not empty. A lot of animals. We have a lot more rodents in the area. A lot of times when I'm coming through there early in the morning, around 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, it's still kind of dark. The trucks just run out in front of you. I feel like if you're gonna live in if you're gonna be a business in the neighborhood, you should at least try to help keep the neighborhood clean. And I feel like where they're located at, it's a lot of trash. It is a waste company. Why not pick the trash up? So I oppose of it myself. That's all I have to say. Thanks.
Anybody else? You had your time. If there's somebody else that would like to speak, I'd love to have them take a moment. Okay. We're finished with the public hearing. I'll close the public hearing, and then you can ask.
Rusty, I have a quick question, and thank you for the residents who've come to speak, because obviously those are some concerns I'd be concerned with. And just speaking also to the applicant, if there are issues with cleanliness of your area, being a good neighbor in the area would be to pick up that. Little things like that help people a lot in being okay with businesses being in their area. Rusty, what I'm trying to make sure I understand correctly is this. They're doing this special land use permit to do a temporary structure. If they decided they wanted to do a permanent structure, are they already able to do that under what they've currently have gotten the zoning and everything for?
Yes, ma'am. They just have to build it in accordance with the zoning laws and the setbacks and building height and all that.
Okay, so technically they can do it in a permanent structure.
Right.
All right, I was just trying to make sure I understood. Thank you.
Just to clarify,
Ms.
too.
Wilkinson.
Oh, okay, thank you. Just to clarify that they can do that without coming to the council.
Yes. Provided it meets zoning requirements and they don't need a variance, they could do it without coming to the city.
Those that couldn't hear Ms. Wilkinson, she asked if they wanted to, they could build without coming before council, without a vote, anything. They could build a permanent structure there versus a temporary one.
Yep.
This is just for a temporary building,
Yep.
and that has to be revoted on by this council.
Yes, the building is already on site. They moved into the site, brought the fuel tank and then the building and the storage Connex box. We identified it, we've issued a notice violation, and this is the sort of the method to getting compliance at this point. So they have their business license, they're operating to clear up the code violation. We're here today trying to correct that.
Any other
Thank you.
discussion from council? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. While I sympathize with the plight of the people that live adjacent to this property, we're not here to rezone this property or anything else. And this property owner has a right to use this property to its best use. With that, I make a motion to approve item 7D Z 25-013.
Motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Gould. Everyone, please vote. Let's hope our voting systems work this time. Ms. Wilkinson? Like we're going to have to take a look at our voting system, huh? That is approved 6-1 with Councilman Oglesby voting in the negative. All right, that completes our community development items, and we'll move on now to formal business. Thank you all for being here, for the time earlier meeting with council. Item 8A. This is authorization for on-call services for low-voltage fiber optic security, access control, and AV systems. Mr. Jones, any background, please?
Mayor, we sent out an RFQ, and we had multiple vendors respond for the low-voltage service. And using the criteria, the selection criteria provided in an RFQ, this was narrowed down to two particular vendors to provide support. So this agenda item is to allow for net planner systems and access control and AV systems to be our on-call for low voltage.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Any questions or discussion from council? All right, I'll entertain a motion. Approval by Mr. Oglesby.
Second.
Second by Mr. Pickens. Beat you out just a little bit, Mr. Gould. All those in favor, please vote. That's approved 7-0. Item B, authorization for recommendation to move the city workers' compensation program to Bitco Insurance Companies for an annual premium of $488,749 and authorize the mayor to execute all related documents. Mr. Jones, anything else to add on background?
Mr. Mayor, just to add that the current firm, Associated Claims Administrators, we've been with the city for the past 2 years. Even though our claims have continued to decrease, there's a number of significant service issues with ACA. Just briefly, our total cost for this service was a little over $700,000 last year. The bid that we have for Bitco is $488,749, and our recommendation is for approval.
Thank you. Any discussion or questions from council? All right, I'll entertain a motion. Passed by Mr. Pickens. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Lindley. Everyone please vote. Approved 7-0. Item C, this is a public hearing to approve an amendment to section 402 and 712 of the zoning ordinance relating to vape shops, to define vape shops, elementary and secondary schools and principal product line, to specify restrictions on vape shop locations. Mr. Jones, any background, please?
Mayor, the primary purpose of amending the section 402 and 712 of the zoning ordinance is to provide a permitted use for these vape shops in a zoning category and then provide some limitations on that use. And with that, the staff recommends approval of the amendment to these sections.
So right now, without this, if I wanted to open up a vape shop in the city of Smyrna, it falls under what zoning category?
That's a good question for our community development director.
Right now, vape shops are not defined, so they just fall under general retail.
So this allows us to put some restrictions on.
Yes, so right now, under general retail, it'd fall under limited commercial, neighborhood shopping, O&I. And with this request, we're putting a definition under general commercial only.
Allows us
So
to
it's
have a little more control.
Yeah, so we're limiting the number of properties it's allowed in.
This would generally provide protections or distances for the location of elementary and secondary schools and type of businesses.
Ms. Wilkinson.
Would that also include preschools, or is it just?
It would include preschools as well. Yeah.
Well,
Any other questions or discussion before we have our public hearing? All right, seeing none, if there's anybody who wants to speak for or against this item, please come up and be sworn in now. Seeing nobody, we will close the public hearing, and I will entertain a motion on item C. I move approval by Mr. Lindley, second by Mr. Pickens. Everyone, please vote. That's approved, 7-0. We're now moving on to item D. Mr. Oglesby?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to recuse myself.
Out one of those doors, and we'll grab you when we're done with this item. Item D is approving an amendment. Smyrna Code of Ordinances dealing with elected or appointed officials holding a license to sell alcoholic beverages. Mr. Jones, anything to add, background related?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. So this is sort of an outdated provision of current Section 6-125 of the Smyrna Code. Specifically, it prohibits elected or appointed officials from holding a license to sell alcoholic beverages or even having an interest in a business that retains that license. This amendment will revise that ordinance and allow these officials to hold a license or have an interest in a business holding a license in certain circumstances, provided they're publicly declared and they don't have any official city interest regarding the actions for the license. Staff recommends the approval of the ordinance change.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Any questions or comments from council? All right, I entertain a motion on item D.
So moved.
Move approval by Mr. Gould. Have a second. Second by Mr. Welch. Everyone, please vote. That's approved 6-0 with Mr. Oglesby having recused himself. You grab. They went quick because they're eagerly anticipating roasting you on when you come before the council for you. All right. Item E, ordinance amending section 66 of the Smyrna Code of Ordinances to add petty trespass to our code. Mr. Jones, background, please.
Mr. Mayor, this comes to us from the Smyrna Police Department. It has to do with a provision that would allow a citation to be issued by a police officer if the owner or management of a particular location is advised someone to leave the premises, or if they remain on a premises after leaving. Presently, this would cause a warrant to have to be issued, an arrest to be made, and this would be adjudicated in state court. Issuing the citation would allow this to be handled locally and instantly.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Any questions or comments from council? Sure, the police department has every tool in their toolbox to effectively protect us, so I'll entertain a motion on item E. Move approval by Mr. Oglesby, second by Mr. Lindley. Everyone, please vote. And that's approved 7-0. A few more items under formal business. Item F is one I am particularly excited about. Authorization for the approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the Cobb County School District for the lease of use of facilities at Campbell Middle School, and authorize the mayor to sign and execute all related documents. Mr. Jones, I'm going to take the background on this one. And whatever I miss, you can fill in. This is something that I'm been passionate about, and I'm thankful to Scott Cochran for working with the school district's legal team. I have spent so much time out at Campbell Middle School for different sporting events, whether it's Friday Night Lights or soccer or whatever it is over the last couple of years. And I think anybody who's spent any time out there would agree that it is it's been maintained and that the grass has been cut, but that facility, the old high school, and the 13 or 14 acres over there is in need of some love. And so I just met Superintendent Ragsdale out there one day, just asked him, would you just meet me, just you and I go out there and lay eyes on this. And we wanted to talk about some possibilities for a partnership that would allow the city to commit resources to make that a premier recreational facility for our residents. And he was very receptive. His staff at the school board had been very easy to work with on this. And the result is this agreement, which is a 50-year lease from the city of Smyrna, from the district for the city of Smyrna. And we're going to begin, if this is passed tonight, putting some pen to paper about what's possible over there. Some of the high-level concepts that I'm thinking about and our staff has put forward include baseball fields, tennis courts, pickleball courts, multi-use fields, an 8-lane track, an adapted field for special needs individuals, and an adapted playground. I think this is a huge opportunity for the city of Smyrna, and I am enthusiastically supportive. What did I miss?
Well, I walked it with you, and I think it's fantastic. It provides for a joint use between the Board of Education property and providing additional recreation to the city. For clarification, it's 15.26 acres at Campbell Middle School. The Board of Education will demo the existing football structure, and we will have preliminary plans for what could be located on that property by the end of the year.
Did I do something wrong? Oh, okay. I'm excited too. I don't know if anybody could tell. All right, is there any commentary, questions from council on this? No, Ricky Oglesby doesn't have anything to say about an 8-lane track?
I have a lot to say, in fact. I'm absolutely excited about this development. I think it will bring so much new, much-needed recreational space for our, as we've seen, all our youth, right, athletes. I believe a track is involved in this with 8 lanes. We know that's needed. So we're excited. I'm absolutely excited to vote on this today. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Oglesby. Mr. Gould.
Just to echo similar comments, it's just, there's no other land in the city of 15 acres that's suitable for this type of athletic complex. On Friday nights right now, you have the flag football league, right? 1,000 kids out, 1,000 people out there on a Friday night. It's just a wonderful piece of property, and thank Mr. Cochran and Mayor, your leadership there to make this happen.
Jones, did you have something else you wanted to?
Well, I just wanted to make sure that Councilman Oglesby knew that as we were walking the site a couple of weeks ago, the mayor looked at me and specifically said, Councilman Oglesby going to want 8 lanes for a competition track.
I do listen. Anybody else have anything on this item? All right. I'll entertain a motion. Oh, Ms. Wilkinson?
Well, I was just going to ask, because Councilman Gould mentioned flag football. Was that for?
That what? Say that one more time. They are recreational co-ed, yeah, and they go from age 5 or 6 all the way up through high school. It is, if you haven't been over to Campbell Middle School on a Friday night, they just finished the championship last Friday, but it is a true community event. 1,000 people are over there. And I know because Laura just texted me that my son is watching this. And I have to say that his team won his age group championship, and my little baseball player had 3 touchdowns. That's more touchdowns than he had in his whole life in that one game, and it was a lot of fun. So
With that, I want to add that with the Parks and Recreation Master Plan that we did a few years ago, one of the needs that was identified was areas for girls' sports in Smyrna. So that's why I was asking that, and I'm happy to hear that. Thank you.
with that, I will entertain a motion. Move passed by Mr. Pickens, second by Mr. Welch. All those in favor, please vote. Excited to say that's passed 7-0. Thank you very much. Item G, we're approving amendments to the intergovernmental agreements. This is for facilities use at Rose Garden Hills School and Argo Road Park. This is an amendment renewing and extending the existing terms of the agreement for 5 more years. Mr. Jones, anything to add?
No, sir.
All right. Any questions or discussion from council? Finley, are you okay? All right, you're going to make it. I'll entertain a motion then on item G. Motion to approve from Ms. Hines. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Wilkinson. All those in favor, please vote. Mr. Gould. Approved 7-0. Item H. This is authorization for another exciting item tonight. Recommendation of award of RFP 26-002 for the Tolleson Aquatic Center to Reeves Young LLC. Mr. Jones, the background, please.
This is an exciting project coming to the city of Smyrna. We sent out some requests for some bids. There were 5 firms that responded. We got 5 very, very good quality firms. One of those bids was rejected on its face, and incidentally, it happened to be the highest of the 5 bids submitted. The other 4 bids were very tight. Corey Engineering was retained to do the design. I think they did a fantastic design. We got very good bids. We had an engineer's estimate of $18 million, and the recommendation for Reeves Young, which is the firm that Corps Engineering recommended as the lowest responsible and responsive bidder, whose bids met the criteria set forth, to be awarded the contract amount of $16,228,529.69, with a project to be completed on their schedule by the end of March of 2027. We have set a deadline for opening by the 1st of May 2027.
Can you repeat that last part one more time? Completed by when and opened by when?
So the bid as set forth, the contract allows them, they provided an allowance for a schedule to be complete, substantially complete by March, end of March 2027, and our deadline for opening Tolleson Park Aquatic Center is May of 2027.
Thank you. I just want to make sure I heard that right. Any questions, comments from council? Really excited about this, and I'm glad the bids came in like they did. That means that the bid package was specs were put out well. If there's no discussion, I'll entertain a motion. Motion do pass by Mr. Lindley. Do I have a second? Mr. Pickens beat you to it, Mr. Oglesby, and seconded that. All in favor, please vote. That's approved 7-0. Item I, approval of the dedication of Concord Linear Park to Dr. David Martin. This is the park right over by Zoya, the old Wades. Mr. Lindley, anything you want to say on this?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Mayor, and thanks to Richard Garland and the Parks Department for helping sort of shepherd this through. But in, I guess, late August, Smyrna lost one of its pillars in David Martin, who was active in many things, the Optimist Club, his church, and was known throughout Smyrna for beautifying Smyrna every day by picking up trash on thoroughfares throughout the city. Ironically, I would always see him on Concord Road. So we thought it fittingly appropriate to name the park in his memory. We'll have a dedication and a monument sometime, it sounds like in early February, so we'll be back and hopefully make that a big community event. So with that, motion do pass.
Thank you, Mr. Lindley. Second by Ms. Hines. All in favor, please vote. Fitting tribute. And that's approved 7-0. And then the last item under formal business is item J, which we voted to add at the beginning of the meeting. This is approval to close King Street between Bank Street and Powder Spring Street indefinitely, effective November 21st, 2025, between the hours of 3 p.m. Friday and 6 p.m. Sunday. Allow pedestrian traffic during peak hours of use at the Village Green space. Really glad we're doing that. I think that the community, I think we were well-intentioned when we sunset it for daylight savings time, but didn't anticipate the nice weather or that it would continue to be used. That space has been such a success. Any questions or
I do have a question. Yes, sir. And I know we talked about it in pre-council, but for the record, what is the timeline on permanent bollards?
With the vote of the council tonight, we'll move forward. We have a bollard plan in place, and we'll implement that following tonight's meeting.
And he's
I'll
asking
get you an update on when those will be complete.
He's asking the question because of the not so sightly orange and white barriers. Those will go away, and we will have nice looking bollards that we can. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
By Mr. Lindley, second by Mr. Welch. All those in favor, please vote. And that's approved 7-0. Thank you. We'll now move, is there a drum roll? We'll move on to privilege license and show cause hearing. The new request, liquor, beer, and wine. You can start walking down there if you want to. Black Diamond Business Ventures, doing business as the Indigo Room at 821 Concord Road Southeast, Suite C, Smyrna, Georgia 30080, with Ricky Noel Oglesby, Jr. as the agent.
Oh, yeah. That's Noel, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Tell us about what you want to do.
Yeah. Hey. Thank you for this opportunity. Hopefully next month I'll be living out a 25-year dream, which is to open a full-service jazz restaurant here in the city of Smyrna, the city I love and call home. I have a wonderful staff. We're putting together a great business partner here, and he'll be able to introduce himself soon. We have an excellent executive chef who is from Jamaica, grew up in New York City. Obviously, a lot of you know I'm from South Carolina, so our cuisine will be a mix of both. We'll have some Caribbean, some Geechee Gullah, some soul food, and some comfort food, too. So we'll have a little bit of everything for everyone. Also some live jazz and neo-soul music, some really good music. We'll feature a lot of artists, local artists here, giving them a platform, especially our jazz artists. So we're looking forward to that. Want to introduce yourself? Sure. They know me.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Justin Gillette. As you know, partners with Ricky in this great venture that we feel will be great for the community. I'm bringing great music, great food, and a great community partnership. I myself bring over 20 years of global F&B experience, from the front of the house, the back of the house, you name it. So really want to bring a great business to this great community.
So everybody's clear on where we're talking about. It's the shopping center off Concord, adjacent to Burger Crush. I guess that's the most, that's the landmark, right there on that same side of the road. Mr. Lindley, this is in your ward.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, it was originally the one of the first Po Folks restaurants in town. You've read and I understand taken the necessary. Could you recite what you learned, please?
Yes, I learned a lot.
What was the opening date?
Projected December 5th.
Okay, very good.
Lord willing.
Well, thank you for doing business in Smyrna. With that motion, do pass.
Have a motion do pass. Do I have any other, before we have a second, I'd like to let some other council members ask questions. Mr. Welch.
I have some questions. I told you we were going to drill you. The first night I was on council, I had a license come before me, and Susan Hyatt was the city clerk, and she was very kind to hand me a cheat sheet. She said, ask these 3 questions. Did you go through the licensing? I'm sure you did. Do you know that the city council goes through, the city police goes through checks and so forth, and checks on our businesses, and make sure you're upholding the licensing law? I just want to make sure you knew of all of those things as well. Congratulations.
Absolutely.
Look forward to eating there.
Thank you. Look forward to taking care of you.
Ms. Wilkinson.
So I have a question that the audience would probably like to know, all those people watching from home. What are your hours going to be?
Oh, right. So we'll be open for lunch. So we'll start at 11:30 a.m. And we will have some late hours on Friday and Saturday to 2 a.m. To unwind for the long week, right? Sunday we will be open for brunch. We'll start at 8 a.m. for brunch.
Thank you.
Gould.
Ricky, congratulations, buddy. We know what you're in for. Good luck.
Thank you.
You'll do great.
Ms. Hines?
It's always great when we're able to have a good restaurant location here in the city. So thank you, Councilman Oglesby, for bringing that here. And I think, reiterate, we all look forward to coming there.
Thank you.
Jones, you don't get a vote, but is there anything you want to say?
Hold on, let me get my list out here. No, congratulations. I know you'll be successful.
We're looking forward to having you in the city. We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? Second by Ms. Hines. All those in favor, please vote. Lucky I didn't call on Mr. Cochran. Vote by hand, please. All those in favor? That's approved 6-0.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Congratulations. Take your seat back up here. We got some other stuff we got to do. All right. The last thing on here is the consent agenda. Mr. Jones, can you go through the consent agenda for council approval?
Yes, sir. There are 6 items on the consent agenda. The first 3 are approval of minutes, approval of the October 16, 2025 committee of the whole minutes, approval of the October 20th pre-council meeting minutes, and approval of the October 20th mayor and council minutes. The 4th item is an authorization to renew the Georgia First Responders PTSD program as required by House Bill 451 with an annual premium of $29,206. The 5th item is authorization to approve a subrecipient grant for the Trust for Public Land for the HUD Community Project Grant. This is the Riverland Smyrna Bridge, and authorize the mayor to sign and execute those documents. We'll be working with the city of Atlanta. We will have one side of the river and they will take the other. And the final item is an authorization to approve 3 reclassifications within the engineering department and 1 reclassification and 1 title change within the water and sewer department.
We have a motion and we have a second. All those in favor, please vote. That's approved 7-0. We're now to the citizen participation portion of the meeting. I don't have anybody signed up for public comment. Is there anybody that wanted to say anything this evening? All right, we'll close that. We'll move on to ward and staff reports and start now with Glenn Pickens.
Thank you, Mayor. No report this evening.
Ms. Hines.
Just a reminder about the Smyrna Optimus pancake breakfast that'll be next Saturday.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The third public engagement meeting tonight for the downtown redevelopment was held. If you missed it, it will be, the presentation is posted online now, and I believe the recording will be posted online shortly. And happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Mr. Welch. Ms. Wilkinson.
Well, Councilmember Welch just stole my words. I was going to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving as well. Thanks.
Mr. Gould.
2 quick things, Mr. Mayor. First, we have a neighborhood meeting in Forest Hills just to take a look at the plans for the Smyrna First Baptist Church development. That's tomorrow, Taylor Bronner Hall at 5 p.m. And then secondly, again, tomorrow, as Ms. Korn mentioned earlier, it is Election Day for Senate District 35. Please come out and vote.
Mr. Oglesby.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. I have a couple of things. First, I want to recognize our Ward 7 residents who today really show really great community engagement. Things don't always go your way, but being involved in the process, you know, I think that's awesome. We should continue to encourage that for all our residents here in the city of Smyrna. Last but not least, I want to thank my colleagues and friends here on the council for allowing me to become a small business owner in the city that I love. Thank you. I yield back, Mr. Mayor.
Congratulations again. Mr. Jones, anything for us?
Let's see, I just had a note here. The city attorney wanted me to remind you all that Alabama lost to Oklahoma.
Oh, yeah.
Yesterday.
You know, my note was similar lines that South Carolina gave up a 27-point lead.
That was A&M, but it looked like the same game.
Well, and the stat that I saw was
bringing
that
up
since
old stuff?
2004, anybody with a 27-point lead, there was no big. It was 0 and 268. Those that have been down 27 points. So
When do we renew the
1
city?
and 268.
When do we renew the city attorney's contract?
Right after the Auburn game.
Okay.
After the Auburn game.
Noted.
Yeah. Miss Heather.
I move to adjourn the meeting, please.
If there's nothing else to be brought before this body, we will say good evening from the Jonquil City and adjourn at 9:04.